Wow, there were some serious doubts going into tea time on whether India would even make that first innings deficit up and take a first innings lead. The 89 in front, Sanjay. What have we just witnessed in that last session?
Clearly, I mean, the obvious answer to that is the punch show. But the quality of spin was always going to be the difference between the two sides. I thought the seamers, Stokes and Anderson, bowled their hearts out in conditions that weren't ideal. But in the end, the quality of Bess and Leach and to extent Joe Root versus Axar, Patel, Ravichandran, Ashwin, and a bit of Washington Sundar, I think we're seeing difference come into play now. But having said all that, Rishabh Pant, I mean, just incredible, what we are witnessing here. I've always maintained that he's one of the fascinating subject of study for me as an analyst in Indian cricket, where he's just getting you to think differently about what's right and what's wrong. But more importantly, Raunak, in the last 2 months, in less than 2 months, he's played two truly great test innings.
And he's still, 24? And he's doing things that the 38-year-old Jimmy Anderson and all that he's seen in the world is still having to remark and say, wow, that was something. How many times has Jimmy Anderson in his glorious career been reverse lapped over a three-man slip cordon is something that I don't think any statsman can find out. But Ian Bell, what were your thoughts when you watched what you saw?
Well, Sanjay's just summed it up perfectly, really. I thought we saw a balance, certainly from Rishabh Pant today, in terms of a calmness, a maturity, actually, that, that people have maybe questioned in his early days. But I thought today, perfect test match cricket, defence, picking the time, the situation. I mean, as Sanjay's already said, Stokes and Anderson, had bowled their hearts out up until lunch. They'd bowled so many overs up until that new ball. And, with the second new ball, sometimes actually it's a wicket-taking option, but also it can go for runs. It's that bit harder. And from that intent, from the first ball, Rishabh Pant coming down the wicket, hitting Jimmy Anderson straight back, and then reverse sweeping for the neutral, I suppose, not for an English fan, but it was absolutely amazing to watch. But I thought we saw an amazing test match innings today, and it had a bit of everything. It had the modern day T20 at the end, but the hard work to get to that point was just old-fashioned test match batting, and I thought that was beautiful to see. And from an India point of view, you've got an absolute superstar.
Yeah, let's talk about that innings. Pure test match batting. If you look at the scorecard, and if someone didn't watch a single ball, Sanjay, 101 of 118, they think, oh, Pant came, chanced his arm, and he got these runs, he hit boundaries and sixes and whatnot. It wasn't that. He came in at a tough time at the fall of Ajinkya Rahane's wicket in the second session. India were trailing significantly at that time. Just take me through the way Pant has crafted this innings and what it tells you about Rishabh Pant, the batsman.
See, people will mostly talk about what he did against Jimmy Anderson, the second new ball. But that was only the last sort of finale of that innings. Yes, with the second new ball, you saw some crazy hitting from Rishabh Pant, and that is why he's making waves in world cricket with the kind of shots that he plays and just the mindset to think in that fashion. He played that reverse lap against Jimmy Anderson with the second new ball. He was batting in the 90s when he played that shot. And then that typical Virendra Sehwag, like 6 to get to his 100. So all those are things that are just crazy, crazy brilliance. But before that, Raunak, there was 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours of calm, composed, defensive batting before we saw what we did with the second new ball.
Yeah, it's a very fair point to make. And he also seems to do it easy. Even, I'm not talking about how he hits shots, Belly. I'm talking about how he defends against Anderson, against Leach. We thought this is a day where run making is hard, where Kohli and Pujara and Rahane, India's premier batsmen, have struggled. Rohit Sharma has laboured his way to a 49 at a pace that Rohit Sharma isn't known for. What was different about Pant? How is it that he finds it this easy?
Well, exactly. A lot of the stuff Sanjay just said, but I think, like you said as well, for young players to watch them play like that and understand the situation that he's in. We know what he can do in the aggressive side. Saw that in the first test match. But it was all about defence there, good test match batting. And again, I think for young players, when you go through, and now he sort of understands the tempo, the template that he's played today is perfect for the rest of his career. He knows he's got defence, but he also knows he can flip that around pretty quickly and play so aggressively. And as we talked a little bit about Rohit Sharma in the second test match, he's always looking to score. And any loose balls that come along, he does put away, which puts so much pressure on the bowlers. And anything that England were not on the money with, he scored off. But again, it was that balance between reading the situation, great defence, and then attacking when he needed to. And it was just perfect test match batting today, with a bit of extra excitement to finish. But again, it was down to the foundation of real good defence, reading the situation, and then the right time to attack at the back end, which is brilliant test match batting.
If we had to pull out videos or tweets from just 6 months back or 1 year back on what people said about Rishabh Pant and play them now, it just seems like it's a remarkable turnaround. Now, Sanjay, we've analyzed some of his hundreds in the past. He's divided a lot of Indian fans. Those that say, yeah, he's great, but he's reckless. He's not good enough, can't play the beginnings. You've made an observation that he tends to pick and choose his bowlers. All of a sudden, he's hitting Jimmy Anderson, at will. He's defending against Pat Cummins in Australia, comfortably playing the short ball well. What has changed in Rishabh Pant, the batsman, over the last few months?
It's a very difficult question to answer, because I find the subject, such a challenge to understand and study. And I was one of the skeptics of Rishabh Pant. Let's be honest, because when he went to Australia, I wanted Riddhiman Saha to play as keeper batsman, because I believed in the typical traditional sense that you got to have a brilliant keeper playing in Test match cricket. But Rishabh Pant got his chance, and as batting has improved, India is now sort of accepting Rishabh Pant, the keeper, is not best that we've seen in the last 10 years. So we are compromising a little bit on his keeping. We don't mind missing a few balls when the batsman misses. Rishabh Pant misses because he's giving us something extra with the bat. What has changed is consistency. He's not failing as much. Before, Australia had counted 22 innings, out of which 2 were hundreds, 2 were 90s, and there were 18 failures, Raunak. So that was Rishabh Pant, who failed a lot. And to put it very simply, the one observation that I used to make in that time against Rishabh Pant was that he mishit a lot. He wanted to play aggressively. He wanted to start hitting the big shots very early in the inning, but he mishit those shots a lot. Maybe he's not doing that as much. Maybe he's taking a little more time, just the confidence. And what you're seeing is a very interesting and very dangerous combination for an opposition, that you've got a very calm batsman as well. When he's defending, he's not an attacking batsman who gets restless or desperate when he's pinned down. He's happy to just keep blocking balls for hours.
What suddenly?
Sorry, I was going to say. I think as well. Again, I'm not an expert on Indian cricket, but what I do see is a young player, and I've listened to some of the media comments. Someone like a Rohit Sharma, and he's obviously very lucky. He's got some fantastic senior players around him to learn from, and if he's watching them train every day, the Virat Kohlis, these guys, the perfection that they train in, and that's the top players. So he's learning from very good senior players. But what I look at as a unit, I've listened to Rohit Sharma defend him in the media, talk about his ability, and I think that is a great place to be for a young player. I think the senior players recognise they've got a very talented young player, and they've got to help guide him. Coaches can do so much, and it's up to the player to do it. But also the senior players have a great role in helping a young player at the start of their career. And what I see at the moment is he's got those leaders around him, helping him grow, understanding he'll get it wrong from time to time. But what we've seen today is somebody that's learned, and probably this is the best day he's had with the bat in a test shirt for India, because it had everything.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content plus live streaming, make sure to subscribe to ESPN Player.